For the fourth and final time today, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We are back for Madison Navy Week. We've done it all today. We've talked to musicians, we've talked to divers, we had some fires, and it was a really good time. But today, we get to do the weather. I'm looking so forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me today is areographer's mate, Ryan Thuecks. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great. Can't complain.
All right. So, where are you currently? You're a Wisconsinite by birth, correct?
Wisconsinite by birth. Yep, I lived there until I joined the Navy at 24.
And where are you at right now?
Stationed down at Stennis Space Center. It's on the Gulf Coast, right on the border of Mississippi and Louisiana.
All right. So a little ways from home.
A little hotter.
Kind of the opposite direction. So, what exactly is it that an areographer's mate does?
So we are a full spectrum forecaster, and what I mean by that is we handle atmospheric and oceanographic. So from the stars down to the bottom of the ocean, we kind of have to be a jack of all trades. We've got to learn it all, because the submarines need a forecast for ocean currents. The ships need to have seas forecasts, and then we've got the aircraft. So we need to know it all.
So down there at Stennis, you said it's Stennis Space Center?
Stennis Space Center, yes. It's actually a NASA facility.
Okay.
But the home of the Naval Oceanographic Office happens to be nested there. And the Naval Oceanographic Office, they do a bunch of different things there, a lot of cutting-edge technology. They focus on bathymetry and hydrography, which is mapping of the ocean, ports and harbors, and they've got UUVs, so unmanned underwater vehicles.
Oh, wow.
And then they also have some air assets, too, that use LiDAR. LiDAR is just laser, and they use that to map the ports and harbors.
Okay, so what exactly do you just stay down there and stay focused on the Gulf, or do you work with ships around the world?
Okay, so at Naval, they do have a fleet of 6 survey vessels. They're white-hulled ships, so they're scientific vessels. And they are currently all along CONUS, but normally they are at different parts of the world, and they are doing this bathymetry and mapping of the ocean bottom. The goal of the World Hydrography Organization is to eventually map the entire globe, all of the world's ocean. So we do little bits and pieces at a time. So we'll fly out as a det, so there'll be roughly 8 of us, and then we'll work on a machine, and they'll just map the bottom.
So your job is pretty encompassing then, from working on machines to taking in this information to what would you call it? I don't know, stem it up. I suppose
Right,
like
exactly.
your job is very STEM oriented, right?
It is STEM oriented, and it's I love it. It's always something a little bit new. There's always some type of new technology, so you're always challenged, both by just trying to get the data small enough or transferred correctly, to learning this new little piece of technology. So yeah, STEM is definitely a huge part of our job.
So what would you say, you talked about having to work on equipment, so you have to be a little bit of a mechanic, you have to be a little bit of an engineer, you have to be a little bit of a scientist, you have to be a little bit of a problem solver, you have to have a little bit of everything to be an areographer's mate, basically.
Yes, it definitely helps. We do have our watch floors also, where you're sitting on a watch floor and you're producing your daily forecast, just doing weather. But the overall job, yeah, it really helps. If you've got that little bit of problem solving, just being a jack of all trades, you can get in there, and it definitely does help out with the rate.
Yeah, I would yeah, definitely could see that being pretty helpful, knowing a little bit of everything. So tell me about your time growing up in Wisconsin and why you decided to join the Navy and become an areographer's mate.
All right, well, I joined the Navy in June of 2007 after graduating high school in 2000. So after high school, I went to UW-Madison. So did go there for a year and a half. It just didn't work out for me. As much as I love the campus, I love the city. So I spent a few years just working, but I got tired of just the ordinary daily grind. So I wanted something a little bit new, and the Navy piqued my interest, and I'm like, why not try this adventure? And since then, I've seen almost every state in the U.S., 9 different countries. I've lived on all 3 coasts. So it's definitely fulfilled a lot of desires in the last 13 years. So just a few more to go, and then there's a possible retirement.
Wow. So you talked about growing up in Northeast Wisconsin. Obviously, you're near a couple of pretty significant bodies of water there. Would you say that would help you help your transition into sea service, or does it give you a different appreciation maybe?
No, I definitely got introduced to my sea legs while I was in the Navy. Like I was on a little bit of choppy water on the lakes once in a while, but Lake Michigan can get pretty choppy, but nothing like open water, open ocean. So, but the water's always been in my blood, I think.
Awesome. So what kind of ships have you served aboard in your time in the Navy?
Funny thing is, I have not served on a U.S. naval warship yet.
But you've been on a few.
But I've worked on a couple of them. But I've had an untraditional route. My first command, I worked with unmanned underwater vehicles at the Mine Warfare Center. So they used unmanned vehicles to use side scan sonar to look for underwater objects. And then after there, I went to sea school. Sea school is where we kind of refine our trade. We learn how to forecast. Our sea school is approximately 10 months long. So it gets a good chunk of time, but it was an awesome tour because for 10 months I was going to school.
That sounds awesome. So big deck ships or small ships, or what kind of ships have you gotten a chance to be aboard?
I've been on board a carrier and an LCS. So the carrier I believe it was the Theodore Roosevelt. I just had to work on there for a day. It was when I was stationed at 3rd Fleet, and we had to go do our operations from the ship because I think they were changing power or something like that. So I was on board there, got to work for a day. I definitely had to have an escort because that thing's big.
Oh, no doubt.
Easy to get lost.
No doubt. All right. Well, that's very cool. And you said an LCS. What is an LCS?
LCS is a littoral combat ship, and it's usually is meant to be along the coast, so it can go a little bit shallower water. And it's just kind of designed to be in shallower water than the bigger destroyer and carriers.
Yeah, I would guess that your job would kind of be important on a ship that was supposed to be a little bit, closer to the coast, with tides and the way things work. I think there's some math in there. I don't know. I talk for a living.
Yeah, a little bit of tides. So surf forecasting. There's some math, and it's definitely surf forecasting is a very fine art, though.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. And right now, as a special treat for Madison Navy Week, we now have our weather forecast. So Tex, over to you for the weather.
All right. For the local weather for y'all back in Madison, looks like it's going to be mostly cloudy conditions today with some isolated thunderstorms beginning this evening and sadly continuing through the day tomorrow as an upper-level disturbance passes through the area. High temps today going to be about 84 degrees. Winds are going to be out of the south at 10 miles an hour, gusting to 20. And looking ahead to Thursday, high pressure is going to build. You're going to see return to mostly clear skies and a slight drop to both temperature and dew point. So, but then again, back to the weekend, looking like a few more showers.
Oh, well, you know what? If you don't like the weather, stick with us here at the Navy Office of Community Outreach because we'll have you covered, bringing you sailors from around the world, around the globe, and from places like the great state of Wisconsin, and doing amazing work down for the Navy, ensuring our ship's safety. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for providing us with our weather update. I've always wanted to say over to you for the weather. It felt really good. I gotta do that more often. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to do this. For us at the Navy Office of Community Outreach, thank you for joining us today for our Ship to Shore specials. We hope you had as much fun as we did because we had a blast. Thank you so much to the Stennis Space Center for providing us with that wonderful weather forecast. And thank you to all of our viewers watching at home. We've really appreciated having you. And of course, we have more content available on all of our social media platforms and at outreach.navy.mil, where you can find not only these videos, but pretty much anything you want to find. It's right there. Even if you want to go back to some past Navy weeks and check it out, you can see some of those videos then. But until tomorrow, Ship to Shore signing off here. So again, Tex, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for that weather report, and we'll see you next time.